All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Off the Rails. I think this is episode number 10, and we're doing some new things. There's a new camera here that you're seeing, so we're changing things up, improving, and just trying to bring the best quality stream or podcast to all those listening or watching. As you'll see here soon, we now are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and of course, you can find us on YouTube. That's where we started. So we're going to kick it over to Cam now to introduce our special guest number 3.
Guest number 3, but member number 1,
Thank you.
Colin Walters. Yeah, quite the story actually for member number 1. My memory of it is so when I first opened the gym, I lived in Spartanburg with my brother, and I traveled here early to get the doors open and had been working a lot like the night before because we were still in the middle. It was technically soft opening day, pretty sure. And but we were like, we're gonna do a 5:30 a.m. class because that's one of the times we're gonna offer. So we're gonna do this thing. We're just gonna run some stuff. And I remember getting here early, like unlocking, getting the lights on, and not here, but our old location. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get. We'll see. And here comes this car down the road. And I'm like, well, it's got to be for us. Because at the time, it was like us at the brewery and the fair house. I'm like, they're not open that early. So, and here comes the car. And all of a sudden, it pulls into the gravel. And there's railroad ties where the gravel is. And all of a sudden, I just hear... and I was like, oh, boy, that's not a good start. And just reverse off like back off the railroad tie. And I was like, oh no, I feel so bad. And you just hopped out of the car all peppy and positive, like nothing had happened, and just started walking towards the door. And I was just like, all right, it's not a bad day. Like they don't care. Like, all right, who's this gonna be? And you came in with just full of energy at 5:30 a.m. And I was like, all right, I have to be more awake. I wasn't prepared to be this awake. But it was a good start. I mean, you brought the energy from day one, like your high vibes, which I feel like you're known for around here. As far as like when people meet Colin, they get an energetic Colin, they get someone that's talkative and just all around good vibes. So that's my funny Colin story for when it started. But I think it was a good start for the gym as well. Cause it was like, okay, cool. This is gonna be positive. This is gonna be energetic. And then obviously a couple other people rolled in, but the fact that you were there first, you were then energetic with them. So then they had to be more awake and like, going and whatnot. And I just think it helped. So
It was Devin and James, right?
yeah, it was Devin and James. And was anyone else there that morning or was it just the 3 of you?
I think it was the 3 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also see you're wearing the OG original number 1 shirt, CrossFit Taylors, and it says founders on the back because you are still a founding member, right?
The 4 of us, 5 of us.
Let's see. I think there are 4 of you left. Yeah, I believe.
The 4 horsemen.
The 4 horsemen, if you will. Yeah. The old found. It was just the way we were like, okay, we're gonna open this gym. What can we do to like get some people involved? And one of the things we did was hey, we're gonna offer, I think it was 40 spots.
Yeah.
The first 40 spots for anyone that signed up was going to be a locked in rate for life as long as they didn't cancel their membership. If you canceled, then you would join at whatever the current rate was in the future. But if you stuck with it, you got to keep the price. And I believe you, Tommy, Kelly, and Evan are the only 4 that are still around who haven't canceled from the original 40. So pretty cool. So that being said, you're like the first of a lot of things for us, but I mean in a member, but like in a good way. Like it's the first time we needed a sponsor. You're like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for it. Like I'd probably volunteer. Like Colin's like, I'll put my name on the list, like a shirt. Like you from day one are 100% dove in, and you were just like, I'm in. And I know we've had some good conversations, which we could probably get into today, but like. So let's go back to pre-day one. What did you see? And like you were like, I think I want to try that place out and sign up for a founders membership. Like what? Yeah. How did it all start for Colin?
So as you know, I hate the cold.
Yes.
I hate it. So I said, I was a cardio bunny. I ran like crazy. I was doing half marathons, 5Ks, like all the time. And I hated running outside when it was cold. So I said, I need somewhere to do cardio inside in the winter so that when it gets warm again, April, May, etc., I haven't lost anything. I can stay fit. I had a Planet Fitness membership at the time, and I hated running on the treadmill.
Yeah.
It was boring, exhausting, no fun at all. And so I had friends talk about CrossFit for years, and quite frankly, to be transparent, I gave them crap for it.
Yeah.
I really did. I think that was probably just not understanding what it was, and probably some intimidation,
Yeah.
right? I guess I like to give my buddies crap.
Right. Well, that's part of,
Yeah.
having good friends too.
So I messaged you, I think on Facebook, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we used to use Facebook, not Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
This is pre IG.
So I totally dropped into your DMs, and you told me about the 5:30 class. I said I was looking for something before work, and that time worked.
Yeah.
And you're right. I bottomed out the 2012 Mazda 6 right in front of you. I swore I saw in your eyes. There's still time not to do this. There's still time to close. I haven't really started
I
yet.
do this today.
And then Devin Berry, James Berry walk in. I say hey to them, and then that was kind of what it was. I think I signed up that Saturday. We had the soft opening where your friends came up from Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had a community thing. That's where I saw like Tommy and Kelly for the first, in that context for the first time.
Yeah. 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 There was that was a solid. There was like a 20 to 30 people there that Saturday. Yeah, I had a bunch of friends come from all over the place to help launch, and a couple local people from other CrossFit gyms came in as well. Do you remember what the workout was on the first day you dropped in at 5:30 a.m.? I was trying to think off the top of my head. I should have gone back. I don't even know if we were using Sugar Watt at the time, or if I just made something up that morning. I do know, like when I thought about opening, I was like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm gonna get, but we also weren't like fully set up yet either. Like we were still in the middle of doing some construction stuff.
The pictures are crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at those the other day actually on my phone. I still saved all of them, and it is wild to go back and think about where we started and kind of where we're at, which is really cool. But yeah, I think I was like, I think I'm gonna teach him how to squat or something.
I think it was deadlifts.
Or deadlift.
That
It was either
sounds
squat or
right.
deadlift because it was like something that's gonna be simple,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna do like it was probably like sit-ups and like box jumps maybe. I mean it was probably like 3 things, like a triplet of like
Mhm.
some easier body weight, and then I don't even know if we had the bikes at the time, so maybe we rode. I don't know, but I do thinking back, I'm like, well, I guess we did something right because I mean, it was kind of like I need to see where these people are at. And I also don't want to freak them out with this crazy intimidating workout like the first day. And hopefully we can still get them to sweat and move. So, yeah, it was a good start to the gym. But so yeah, you don't like the cold, so you were like, man, I'm gonna go work out this CrossFit gym that doesn't have heat.
Shocker to me. When did HVAC like get installed?
No, I mean that HVAC was always there. I just
Oh.
wasn't gonna use it. I mean, we had just opened, and I was like, I'm not paying to heat this place when I'm not even getting money yet. And I don't even think we used it for like the first year or 2 that we were over there. I don't even remember turning the AC on until like it got really humid one summer, and like everything was starting to rust. And I was like, all right, I guess I should use this to like keep the equipment nicer.
Yeah.
And then I think that day people were like, wait, we have air?
What is this?
And I was like, yeah, but like, you're here to work out. Like, we're not doing this. So then it became this thing over the years. Obviously, once we had money coming in of like, okay, let's keep the heat on this like low level when it gets really, really cold, or let's turn the air on when it gets really hot or whatever. But yeah, that's funny.
Do you remember? So I know I joined because I wanted somewhere like warm to work out, right?
Yeah.
You thought I would quit when it got hot.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way you worded it,
Yeah.
right? It was like, okay, I'm this runner, and then I'm gonna get through the winter, and essentially, in my mind, and I think kind of the way that we had chatted was like you were just gonna go back to running, and I was like, all right, like, I mean, you're gonna do CrossFit for a while, so maybe you end up liking it, and then you can run. But then I think and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you found that, okay, I'm doing CrossFit. Oh, and then you went back to running, or you were still kind of running on days that were warmer, and you noticed like, oh crap, I'm getting faster, or I'm able to run longer.
Yes.
So maybe this CrossFit thing's actually helping me instead of just running all the time.
It was hills.
Okay.
I was training for a half marathon, and I noticed when I was running like hills, I felt so much stronger.
Yeah.
Like, and I was attacking the hills, not like letting them beat me up on the way up.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, there's something to this. I think I told you, man, all those squats are paying off.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. And like, I think that fall I did a half marathon is my best half marathon time ever.
Yeah.
I attribute to you guys in a lot of ways.
Well, you probably obviously had a better base of running coming into CrossFit, and
Mhm.
then you added some strength, and then you still ran. These days, I would say you're probably less of a cardio bunny. I don't think you do as much running anymore, which isn't necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just I think your priorities have changed on what you like to do or want to do. Maybe you just found other outlets for fitness. Like you've had running as an outlet, but then you're like, oh, wait, I can still do these other things that are more fun. I don't know. Because I know, like,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, like, it was either go to like Gold's gym
Mhm.
and do that, or like my cardio was running. Like that was it. Like I didn't know there were these other ways to get cardio in. And so, and I didn't love running, so I would just go work out until I found CrossFit, right? But I think you still can go run. You still have the ability to run pretty well, and I think it's because you spent so long
Mhm.
in the running world building up a pretty solid base, I'd say.
Yeah. I was never strong.
Yeah.
Like I know, like the joke around here is like girls who eat,
Yeah.
and like folks like focus on being strong, not just being like skinny,
Right.
right? Like that's
Yeah.
not the goal.
Yeah.
And I think that was like me in a lot of ways. I was focused on like not as just being strong, but being slim,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I noticed when I was here, like, man, you kind of see the numbers going up and up and up on the barbell. And it's not always about numbers, and I get that.
Yeah.
But that was cool.
Yeah.
I never really experienced that in this context. Never done Olympic lifting at all. And so when I had the first taste of that, I was surprised how much I enjoyed it because I thought I was just a runner.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that eye opening happens for a lot of people, whether it's guys or like ladies. Like everyone has this preconceived, like, oh, I can't do that, or I've never lifted, so it's not going to go well, or whatever. And then it's like, well, we're going to introduce it to you, and we're just going to see where it goes. But even since we opened the gym, and now I think there's even more research, and seems to be, as of late, even more stuff's coming out about how much lifting is actually better for burning fat and things like that as well. So it's lifting and functional fitness is really getting pushed a lot more, and people are starting to come around and realize that, like, oh, this stuff actually does work. It's not just about cardio to lose weight, or just about cardio to like be healthy, like with your blood markers and things like that. And that there's this part of this fitness thing with the weightlifting that actually is a big benefit to that. And so it's cool that there is that part, but then you do also, yeah, you're going to get stronger because you're lifting weights, and those things are going to start to happen because the muscle mass is starting to grow. And and then it transfers to outside of here as well. You start to notice those things like you did in your running, of like, oh, my legs are stronger, so it's like I can run longer or run up these hills faster, which then makes my overall race better.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's pretty cool. I do find it funny though that, well, I feel like most people know this now, but I don't remember how long it took me to realize that you lived like in the third house on the street from the gym. Like he comes in and tells me this whole story about, oh, I'm a big runner and like all this stuff. He
Here we
comes
go.
in, he
Here we
bottoms out
go.
his car, and like it was probably a month later, I finally realized. I was like, wait, because I think I was like leaving one day and you were like standing, and I was like, do you live? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, you drive to the gym and you live like right there? And he's like, well, after the workouts. I was like, no, you drove on like day one to the gym. Like if I was a runner, I feel like I would have ran to the gym. I don't know, but you didn't know what you were getting into.
It was also cold.
It was okay.
Remember?
Fair.
I don't remember
Fair.
what's that.
Fair. Yeah.
I love the street.
Yeah.
I love it. Mill Street. I'm getting married in I think 7 days.
Yes.
8
8 days.
8.
Next Friday.
See, I'm that eager. And I've been on this street for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy to see how it's grown up. How, I mean, the businesses that we loved, I mean, even before you got here, Due South,
Yeah.
13 Stripes got here after me, Fair House after me, you guys. It's been really cool to see the Taylor's Mill grow up and how you guys are part of that story. I feel like forever that Saturday workout class that started at 11 and into 12,
Yeah.
straight at 13 Stripes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was part of originally when we opened, class was at 9.
Was it really?
Yes, we had the schedule. Saturday was at 9, but no one was coming because if people did come, it was like one or two people, and then as the member base grew and we were getting to know people, we realized it was a younger crowd and whatnot, and we were like, well, maybe if we bump class back because these people are like either going out or staying up, whatever, and then they don't want to get up that early, then maybe we can make it a thing where we have class at 11 and then go to the brewery afterwards, and that might be more of a enticing to the crowd that we had at the time, which so then we made the change, and then all of a sudden the trickle started to, oh yeah, like it's later in the day, I can get up, I can get after it, but then also, yeah, there's going to be this thing to do afterwards instead of just wake up early, work out, go back home.
Sure.
And so I think that change was huge, and that helped our Saturdays grow. And then it got to the point where 11 was like so busy we had to do a 10 and an 11. And then in the past year or two, obviously our we have all gotten older, so I feel like our priorities have changed a little bit. And so now we actually bump class back to 10 a.m. I don't know if we'll ever go back to 9. It's still kind of early. Plus, we like to leave it open for other things like seminars or things that are happening. And I think 10 a.m. is that kind of good area. But yeah, it actually started at 9. I don't remember how long it was at 9. It was quite a while, and then we were finally just like, okay, well, like we have these 30 whatever people, and a lot of them like to go to the brewery, but they don't want to come work out, go home, then come back later. So what if we just bump class closer to when the brewery opens, and then we just have class, we go over there together, ends up building a good community, and also more people showing up on Saturday.
You mentioned something really cool. Like how much fun has it been to see this gym grow up as people have grown up in a lot of ways? You met me when I met you in 2019.
Yep. Yeah. February 2019 is when our first month
So
was. Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
I was 29, 35 now. You've seen your gym
Yeah.
grow up. How's
Yeah,
it felt?
no, it's been cool to just not only help people get healthier and fitter, but like watch them grow up or their families grow, or like just life changes happen,
Mhm.
good and bad. Like there's as much good as there is. There's things that have happened in people's lives that maybe isn't great, and it's just like to be here to have that consistent for them to show up and work out through those things, but then also like have that relationship with them that they're willing to talk about those things and they want to talk about those things, and then having the respect to be like, okay, yeah, I wasn't planning on being here for 30 more minutes today, or maybe I had this other thing that I was going to try to get done before the next class, but you really feel like you need to talk to me about this, and I'm going to take the time, because I'm a people person and I want to help people, but B, not to sound like uh overly like greedy, but like if I can connect with this person better, that hopefully it means that they'll want to stay around longer.
I think it's
Right.
greedy at all.
And there was part of that, but then I mean, and part of it was definitely like, hey, like it seems like you don't have someone that you want to talk to or can talk to about this thing. And that's one of my biggest things that I've probably found as an owner, over the last 6.5 years, is the amount of stuff I never realized how much stuff people would just like want to talk to me about, if that makes sense. Like they're just like, oh, I trust you, and like boom, here's this life thing. And I've gotten better at like not having the shocked, like what the hell type of reaction of like, why are you telling me this?
Your poker face is better now.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh shit, like I'm sorry to hear that, but like, and then just like have a conversation. But back to your original question, like, yeah, there's been a lot of ups and downs, but it has been cool to watch people grow, watch families grow, because some of them maybe had little kids that are older now, and maybe in our kids class, or they were in the kids class and now they're old enough to be in the regular adult class, or just had kids, or changed jobs or lost their job, like all these things. And it's fun to see that we have a community that supports each other, but like the community isn't just like show up and work out. It's like I know about your life, about my life, about this other member's life, like we know each other, like it's friendships, right? Like it's not just this person that walks in and there's the meme that, or not meme, the video that's been going around on Instagram of like which I think is to more show the people outside of the gym what CrossFitters are. And it's like, this person just broke up with their boyfriend, or this person just lost somebody, or this whatever. And it's like, you never know what someone's going through, which is mainly true. But I do feel like we have a pretty good relationship with most of our members. And if something major happens, like I almost immediately know about it. Like people are that willing to just be like, hey, this happened. Or if I notice something's off, I can just, hey, you doing all right? And instead of them like trying to hide it, it's usually like, no, this happened. And it's like, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Or like they're really excited. It's like, hey, you seem like you're having a great day. And they're like, yeah, this is what happened today. And so it's like to have that relationship with people as a friend, like it's pretty cool over the time. And it's like, you're not just a number, you're not just another it's not just money coming in and that's all I'm worried about. It's like we know each other pretty well, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's how every gym is, but it's like you could probably point to almost any member in here and I could probably tell you what they do for their job, like for a living, right? Which is I think pretty cool, or at least something about their life that like most people wouldn't know.
It's interesting, like a place as loud as this with like weights clanging around, the Big Booty Mix playing in the
Yeah.
background, is actually a place of peace.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is like for me, like I am banging my head against the insurance door all day long.
Yeah.
And then I come here in the afternoon, 4:30, 5:30, etc., and I get to like release.
Yeah.
I see my friends, I cut up, I laugh, have a cold beverage on a nice warm deck,
Yeah.
and it's almost like it's where I feel like not necessarily safe, but I get to just let go.
Well, I think it's a form of meditation. I mean, there is actual meditation, right? Of like sit in silence, close your eyes, and like try to like clear your brain,
Mhm.
right? And that takes a lot of practice to be able to try to shut off your brain and like not listen to it. This is just like an immediate distraction of loud noises lift, like you're so focused on something else
Mhm.
that you can't be thinking about what else went on in your day. So it is a form of like meditation, distraction, whatever you want to call it, to allow you the chance to relax. But then also I truly believe in it. There's some science behind it of like moving your body will allow you to de-stress, like getting some exercise in, and it helps like clear some brain fog and things like that. And then afterwards it's like, oh, okay. And I do it too. Like I'll be stressed all day about stuff that I need to get done, or this next event's coming up and all this stuff, and I'm just stressed. And then I finally work out, and then I'm like, oh, I can do that stuff tomorrow. Or like it's not immediate, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just like working out allows me to actually process like what's important, what's not important, and like relieve just some of that stress that we've been putting on ourselves all day. And then you're just like, okay, like maybe that's a tomorrow issue, or like you can think clearer about like, okay, let me put these on different days of like, I'll do this tomorrow and I'll do this the next day and then I'll do this. And instead of it all feeling like it's got to be done now, it's like, okay, I was actually able to move and sweat. And then now my brain can just think about things better.
Sure.
And it just takes a lot of pressure off. So I do think, like yourself, that a lot of people that this is for them. And I don't know, this is a study we'd have to do. I'm sure it's out there, but do the 5:30 a.m.ers just wake up and not have a stressful day because they already worked out?
That's how I started. Remember?
Yeah. Because like for me, like I can work out at noon and feel less stressed the rest of the day, or I wait all the way till the afternoon and feel less stressed the rest of the day. But I don't know if I started in the morning and then went home and just all of a sudden like started opening emails and stuff and then like built stress. Like I don't know if I'm gonna have that same reaction, right? But I mean, I think moving probably does something for the body.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, we'll have to find out. But yeah, you did start at 5:30 a.m. and then you switched, and then I think you're like the classic example
Oh.
of the amount of people who either start or tell me that, man, I'm really interested. What are your class times? Oh yeah, that 5:30 a.m. one sounds really good. Cool. We'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, like 5:30 a.m. Make sure you're there on time, and they don't show up, or they show up and they're there for like a week or two, and then something happens, and they get a taste of an afternoon, and then all of a sudden their schedule's clear and they can work out in the afternoon like they never like. And it's just but there are the hardcore 5:30 a.m.ers that are still there and still doing it, but I would say 80%, if not more, of people that say that they're going to do 5:30 a.m. or start at 5:30 a.m. end up at a different time. because it is hard. So what changed you from 5:30 a.m. to an afternoon?
So I'm super productive in the morning. I wake up, I'm ready to roll. Coffee is like a stimulant that I just devour all day long, but I'm just really sharp. And I fade in the afternoon like you wouldn't believe. I used to remember when you also make fun of me because my naps?
Yes.
Yeah. I love an afternoon nap. But I got so busy at work that I started getting up earlier and earlier and earlier. And if class started at 5:30, went to 6:30, and then I can get to the office till 7:30. Well, if I get there at 6 or 6:30 in the morning, that's an hour and a half. I could have been working.
Yeah.
And then so I started working more, right, and getting busier. But then also I got that taste of the afternoon, honestly, and it was fun and it was cool. It was a different energy. Not that people weren't energetic in the mornings, but it was just different enough, and it started to fit my schedule. Like I started to build my day around get up early, get to work at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then work hard all day. Head to the gym at 4:30, and then again cut up with my friends, see them, have a good time, relax, then go home, go see Melissa,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Okay. And I know sometimes you have like some night things that you do too. So it's like
Oh,
that
wow,
4:30
yeah.
works where
Mhm.
like, okay, I can get to the gym, get home,
Yeah.
shower, and then
Correct.
still get to function or whatever.
Do you remember? I was joking with Nate before you walked in about the different errors of CrossFit Taylors.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And do you remember COVID,
Yes.
right?
I do remember COVID.
Yeah, it was a thing, right?
Yeah.
Remember when you would drive by and I'd be in my driveway in
Yeah.
a Tommy Bahama chair, working on my computer with like a beer.
Yeah. I'm like, you working? You hanging out? No, I'm working
I'm
right
working.
now. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. No, that was a time too. But I will say with you, I never know what Colin I'm gonna see, even when I'm out and about. Like, I might get Colin at 5:30 a.m. who's in a suit, ready for his day, about to judge for the Open.
That's right.
I might get Colin sitting in a lawn chair out front in his swim trunks. I might get Colin in athletic gear. But I will say, outside of the gym, you seem pretty buttoned up always, and you always have your nice work clothes on and whatnot. But I do like that you like Mill Street, and I think it's helped. You've put a lot of like because so let me rephrase that. I like that you like Mill Street and you're around a lot, because I run into you, like, especially when we first opened at Junto or at Third
Yeah.
Stripes, or getting lunch or whatever, which has been really good for me, because there's been a lot of those times that we've just kind of run into each other, and you've taken the time to like just ask me how my day's going, or encourage me on how the gym's going and how things are growing and whatnot. And it's like, without me asking for it, or really probably wouldn't have ever had those conversations. Like it's just been good to, like, when I know when I run into you, you'll, unless you're on the phone, like physically, like,
That's
hold
a
on.
lot.
Yeah. We can have a conversation
Yeah.
about, what's going on, or, and it's always positive coming out of your mouth. Like, you're always trying to find ways to help build things up and whatnot. And it helps, because it's like, okay, like, maybe I'm not having a good day, or I'm worried about our member numbers or whatever it is. And, I'm just trying to keep the gym going. And then I bump into you at the coffee shop. You're like, hey man, like, I just want to let you know, like, things have been going great lately. Like, I've really seen a positive energy in the gym, and
Mhm.
like, just things like that. And it's just like, okay. And that helps me be like, okay, well, maybe we are doing things right. And like, it is, we are on the right track, and it's not going to happen overnight. And I just need to be patient and let things keep going and whatnot. So, just as a kudos to you,
Thanks,
I
brother.
really appreciate your support, and I like that you're in this area and that I do run into you as often as I do.
Well, like it's no one forgets the person that took the time to give a crap.
Yeah.
There's so many people in our lives that took 5 minutes to say, "How are you?" or to encourage you.
Yeah.
And like that, those small acts go a long way, and people feel like they're not seen that day, or they've had a hard couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And like, it takes effort, yes, to remove yourself from your day and put yourself into theirs for a few moments, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Be-
100%.
I mean, it's like, what's the greater value? I make one more like sale that day, or I encourage a brother, a sister, whoever it may be, and that makes their day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
No, that's a great way to look at it, and I think like I said earlier when I was talking to other members, like I kind of feel the same way, and it's like I would take the time to talk to them, which then in my head was like, oh, I got to push all these other things back, but I want to give that time to that person. And me being the owner of the business, a lot of times it doesn't get the other way. Like people aren't like, hey, how are you doing? Like, and not that it's a bad thing. Like, it's just that's how it typically goes. So when I do run into you and you want to ask those questions on a business side or a personal side or whatever, and it's nice to like have someone else be like, hey, like, how's your day going? How are things going? You know, and just as an FYI, this is how I see things, and I think they're going pretty well. And I think even if they're going bad or like whatever, like we've had multiple conversations along the way of just different things. Like you've always been one to like speak your mouth. Like if you see something, you say something. Like you're not just like, oh, like I don't know. I can't think of anything else out of my head, but I just know like if I'm gonna ask Colin something or if I'm talking to Colin, it's gonna be an honest conversation, like 100%. Like you're not usually gonna like give me some BS answer that you think I want to hear. Like it's just like, hey, this is what we need.
I'll preface it. So, respectfully.
Yeah. Respectfully, this is it's like, all right, okay, this is something I need to pay attention to.
Well, like I feel weird speaking into someone's livelihood though. Like
Yeah.
you know your business better than anyone else. You and the vice president. Like you guys
Funny story, but keep
I
going.
can't wait for this. Like you guys know it extremely well, like the ups, the downs that I just don't see or don't know. So like from like I may have input, but I would never presume to know how to run CFT.
Yeah.
So I hope it never came off as
No. It's always been much needed, or just like almost like from a customer service standpoint of like, hey, like as an FYI, this is how this was perceived or whatever. I mean, to the point that like you are now one of the people that like if we're thinking about doing something or coming up with something or we're gonna put something out there, like, hey, let's send this to Colin and see what he thinks, because like we know you're going to be honest and you're not just going to give like your personal opinion. You will, but you'll also be like, okay, but other people may see it this way, or other people like you give thought into your feedback, and you always have with anything that we do. So you know, it's much appreciated, and I think as a business owner, it's good to have people like that as well. It's like I know I can ask Colin anything, send Colin anything, and he's not just going to turn tail and run. It's not going to be anything that's going to like offend him as a member. Like it's like he trusts us enough and knows that we'll make the right decision, but he's also willing to give his opinion before we put it out there to make that decision or not. And so it's just good to like have those, essentially you're a member, a customer, you know. And I think for any business, like I don't know if you have clients or something that you maybe have interactions with, or like I think the other hard part too is in the beginning I didn't have other coworkers or like now I can use the coaches, like
sure.
you know, Nate, Claire, like all of them, or during a coach, hey, we're thinking about doing this, what do y'all think, right? But in the beginning I didn't have other coaches, I didn't have other people, so like, hey, you're a part of this community that's been around the longest, what do you think about this? And so you've always given us that good feedback.
Thanks, man.
So but yeah, funny story on the VP. He's referring to Taylor, by the way. So I forgot what it was, but I pulled out like our original like business documents, and I was going through the articles of incorporation, and like you had to like title people. We don't have a VP. Taylor's the treasurer.
The treasurer. I can't wait.
Oh man.
Wait.
Yeah.
T.
Triple T, Taylor Trollinger treasurer.
I'm changing her on my phone right now.
Man.
Triple T.
That yeah, it was funny because like something had happened, and like I was going to flipping through them, and I forgot what we were saying about like how maybe we needed to have like a board meeting or whatever, and Taylor was like, yeah, the VP will definitely be there or whatever, and I like flipped the page and I was like, well, we don't have a VP. We never filled that one out. We have a treasurer though, and a secretary, something. There's like 3 or 4 that like had to be, and VP wasn't one of them. So we just kind of like filled in the ones that had to be with people that we trusted. But yeah, I just think that she's known as the VP. I mean, realistically, she could be the VP, but maybe we'll vote to move her to VP. But yeah. So I had another question earlier, and I feel like I lost it. From running to being a CrossFitter to competing in CrossFit, and you do some competitions, local competitions and whatnot. How does your like I guess we talked kind of about like your view of fitness from like running to lifting and feeling stronger and whatnot, but like how does that like how do you feel like that changed, I guess, your overall view on like health and wellness? Like do you feel like that's different than when you started?
Yeah. I do agree with you that like I feel like when I focused on getting stronger, I got fitter. I wasn't like I had a bad habit of initially like getting too busy, not eating all day, coming in and being surprised when I had a bad day in the gym. You're like, you have to eat, Colin.
Yeah. You can't live on coffee.
And Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so like if- my view on fitness, I feel like comes from like you get out of it what you put into it, and that's your body too. Like I think I have pretty bad nutrition, all things being considered. Like caffeine junkie,
Yeah.
and carbs,
Yeah.
and I just keep those. I keep that keeps me going all day long. And I get in here and I'm like, well, you haven't eaten meat all day.
Yeah.
There's no protein in you.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of like dietary stuff, that's changed a lot. The importance of strength training. And you're right. The older I get, I care less about like my time in the AMRAP. I mean, my rounds in the AMRAP or my time in the Metcon. It's more about like how's that barbell look.
Yeah.
And I was totally opposite when I started. I was like, yeah, we'll get through the barbell to get to, you know, the box jump, the handstand push-ups, and the double unders.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I think a lot of people have that same journey because, well, and it can go the other way. Like,
Sure.
I think when you start, you're good at something, right?
Mhm.
CrossFit is everything, so it's like, okay, I'm probably good at one of these things or a couple of these things, and they usually tend to be either gymnastics, weightlifting, or cardio, and then you scale the other things so you can get to the things you like, right? Until you start to realize like, ooh, I kind of might like this
Mhm.
thing, or something switches, which I had the same experience when I started CrossFit. I was really good at the cardio gymnastics stuff, and then I just could never lift more weight, and I was like, God, like I'm trying to lift more weight,
Mhm.
but I really wasn't doing the right stuff to be able to lift more weight because I was always pushing the cardio and the gymnastics, but I also wasn't eating enough or trying to get heavier. I was always trying to lose weight,
Sure.
but I don't know why I thought, oh, I'll lose weight, but I'll also get really strong. Like that's usually not how it happens. Like you usually have to go through some waves of some stuff. And so it wasn't until I actually started gaining weight that then I got stronger. And then I had to find this new happy space of like, okay, if I'm at this weight, then I can do these things. But yeah, I think a lot of people go through that journey of like, it might be an intimidation thing too of like, okay, these are the things I'm good at, so I want to do what makes me feel comfortable
Mhm.
and do the things I'm good at, and then the things that I'm not great at, I'm gonna scale down so that way I can still get through the workout and have fun. But I think that's where we as coaches come in of like, hey, this is awesome, but you shouldn't just stay here. Like, let's try to increase these things, or here's maybe it's something new to focus on, or whatever. So
Do you remember Famously Hot? I just the first year I did it.
I was not there, but I did
That's
hear
right.
this story because you took my spot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, it was me and Saber, and she had to help me clean the barbell.
165. 165.
How
Yeah.
crazy is that?
Yeah. Partner clean. And then you had to hold it, I think, while she did handstand push-ups or something. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And now like that's probably not a thing that you even would bat an eye at,
Yeah.
right? But I think that was the switching point for you. I do think that that was like the man, I really I would like to make a change and not have this happen or like need to
That's
happen.
fair. Was that 20? Was that summer 22? Summer 21?
I don't remember why I wasn't there. Was that when
That's your bachelor
that's
party.
bachelor party? Okay.
Yeah.
So then that would have been 2020.
This is a problem.
2021. No, that was 2021 because we were originally supposed to get married in 2020. Everything got pushed back a year. Then it was the summer of 2021. Yeah. It was, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been doing CrossFit, I guess, for almost 2 years at that point, maybe a year and a half, right? And I wasn't strong.
Yeah.
I was just still like focused on, I guess, the gymnastics side, the cardio side, and that not being able to do 165 was like, well, crap.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, it's when I probably did start putting more time into the barbell because I didn't want to be a liability. That's one thing for me is I hate being a burden to people. I don't think Sabre thought I was a burden that day by any means, but I felt like I never wanted to put my partner in a position like that again.
Yeah.
So
Fair. Yeah. But, and I think it too, that part, but then also like, oh, maybe this is something I need to work on. Or
Mhm.
like, if I want to continue to do this thing and do competitions, I think if you just came in here, like, I'm never going to do any of these local competitions. I'm never going to partner with anybody. And I'm just here for Colin for my health and wellness. Like maybe you wouldn't have ever made that decision, but I think you have started to like the competitions and the
Yeah.
competing stuff. And I think it became aware of like, oh, these things are going to keep coming. So it's like, I either need to try to work on it or, whatever. Maybe not do them. I don't know, but you chose. I'm gonna work on them, and it's definitely shown. And you can do those things now, which is awesome. So yeah. Um, I keep losing my train of thought. It's been a long day.
Your
I didn't have a lot of sleep last night.
trolley
either.
train of thought.
Trolley train. Oh dang. Nate, do you have anything at this point? Hanging out over there. He likes to just hang out while we talk, and then he'll like throw something in randomly, then he'll bring it back. What? Oh, I got one.
Oh, I thought Nate was going to comment on his fantasy hockey team.
Oh gosh, don't get that started. This is a fit. No, I'm just kidding. We can talk about anything.
Oh, he grabbed the mic.
Oh man.
I will say we actually did just have a conversation about this like 2 days ago. How we're probably going to play again. Obviously, taking second was a pretty big reason for us to come back, and then Kucherov was incredible. I do have a question though. We talked about doing the Eras tour through CrossFit Taylors. I do want to get to that at some point with you today. So that's my thing. I want to hear the Eras. Obviously,
Okay.
we've been here a couple of years, but we haven't been here the full time.
Okay. Have I talked to you about this yet?
No.
Okay. So, famous, you may know this person called Taylor Swift.
Yes. Yeah.
She has a tour called the Eras Tour. That was a few albums she covered. Well, I think there's a CFT Eras Tour if I can take you on it, right?
Yeah,
quick.
I'd love to go on it.
So
take me down memory lane, if you will, or errors lane.
I think there's at least 4 eras. I'm open to more.
Okay.
And I think we're in era, well, we'll get to that. Era 1, launch.
Okay.
New business, the new hot thing in town, the new CrossFit gym on this side of town.
Yeah.
Right? Growth mode, communities building. You're starting to see connections start. And then we mentioned it earlier, COVID.
Yep.
That's era 2 because you guys survived COVID when a lot of businesses went like that were in the fitness focus, like fitness operations side shut down. You guys didn't.
Yeah.
And I remember you rented out equipment to gym members.
Yeah.
And I'd be in my driveway on Mill Street at like 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, doing dumbbell snatches with a 35, jump rope. Ryan and Saber had like a box. They did Chad. Remember they had Chad with their book bags full of rocks?
Yeah.
Or whatever they had.
Yeah. We, I remember. So first, let me take a step back.
Okay.
Era 1 growth, I had never run my own business before, and but I had a lot of experience in CrossFit, and then some management and business experience elsewhere. But I do remember opening and being like, I don't know what I'm getting into. I think I want to do this, and like I'll just kind of figure it out. And then like along the way, I was figuring things out, and a lot of people had like kind of encouraged me and were like, yeah, if you make it through year 1, you're usually doing pretty well, and you'll be all right. And literally, COVID was right at the end of year 1.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was like we hit year 1, and then it was like the world shutting down.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, what the hell do we do now? Like I was in the middle of this growth, like when things were going well, and then all of a sudden we can't have more than 3 people hang out together.
Yeah.
And I think when it first got announced, the COVID stuff and things, people weren't really sure. It wasn't really taken that seriously. And so I kind of had to like start thinking ahead of like, okay, well, what if, and what can we do? What can we not do? What can we get away with? And then obviously it started getting taken more seriously. And then, we were like, okay, well, like we can do online programming, but these people aren't going to have anything to do anything with. So like, and they're not going to go buy it. But we're not going to do anything with
You
it.
couldn't buy it. Remember, like everyone sold out of home workout
Yeah,
equipment.
it went really quick. That was the other part too. Yeah, like Target was out of dumbbells, Walmart was
Yeah.
out. Like people just went and bought like whatever they could, which was kind of crazy, especially thinking back. And we can get to that too, of just like how much stuff was bought or rented or whatever and not used. Like, but we were like, okay, we'll give this out to our members if they keep paying their membership, and we'll program things they can do at home because we don't know how long this is going to last. But at least that way, like if they have a piece of equipment of ours, they either have to contact me and bring it back to cancel their membership, or they'll keep paying. And then once we come back, all the equipment will come back. And so we made this sheet of checkout stuff. And I remember like the first week, like barely anything got taken.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's sparse. Like some people that like were worried about it and took it kind of seriously, maybe some kettlebells, like a couple things. And there was no limit. You could take what you wanted, and it was like first come, first serve. Well, then there was week 2 of checking things out where all of a sudden everyone was like, oh shit, like this is real.
Yeah.
And what can I get my hands on? And then everything went. I mean, everything, but someone took a bike. Someone brought their truck, and I put a bike in the back of someone's truck. And I was just like, all right, like as long as you bring it back, rowers, like all of it, right? I think every rower someone rented and took out or checked out. And I think week 3 was the week of like people being like, hey, what's left? And I was like, we got plates for barbells. We got barbells. And we got a 70-pound kettlebell or 2. And like, it was literally like everything that was like absolutely heavy, like the yoke, and just things like that. But anything that was like 50 pounds or less was gone. And obviously people weren't taking barbells and plates because they didn't have anywhere to lift them, like unless you're going to do it in your garage and hope you didn't crack your concrete. So yeah, that was kind of like how that happened. And then I remember being like, well, I want some stuff to work out with because all of our members are taking it. So like I brought like a 35-pound kettlebell, like a 50-pound dumbbell, an ab mat, a wall ball, and a box home. And then I knew I had the barbells at the gym still that I could use. And so I kind of week 2 saw how fast things were starting to go. And I was like, well, let me grab some stuff for Tay and I. I think I took the yoke home somehow, maybe in pieces, so that we could have a rack. Just so I didn't have to go to the gym, even though I could still technically go to the gym, right? But I was just like, well, if no one's going to be there, like, why am I not just going to do it in my garage too? But yeah, so I took some stuff, and then Travis was still here at the time. So he would like go to the gym and randomly find a way to work out with some stuff. But yeah, that was COVID was, the COVID era it was crazy because it went from growth to how do we survive this?
Yeah.
And then, okay, is this a good idea? Is this not a good idea? I don't know, but this is what we're going to do. And then we had a lot of support from our members at the time. And everyone was really down to earth about like the situation that was happening. And I think I remember Ryan making a post of just being like, and we felt the same way about other local businesses. It's like, support the businesses that you currently like because you want them to be there when this is over.
Yeah, dude.
Right. And I think that was a huge like thing that we all needed to do to make sure that once COVID passed or whatever, and we were allowed to get back together, it was like, okay, we can go back to working out together and things like that. And so what was it, 2 months, a month, 2 months? We weren't fully closed too long. Luckily in South Carolina, things opened up a lot quicker.
It was definitely March, and I think at least the first part of April, because then that's era 3, the return.
Yeah.
Like we had class signups.
Yep.
You like, it was that Sunday night. You had to log on. Was it you had to log on to the website?
I don't remember where
It
we
was
did.
something.
No, it was called Sign Up Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to find a way to get people to sign up. Yeah, it was called Sign Up Genius, and it was on the website. There was a little we had put a thing on there. And it was 6 people classes? 5?
6 to 8 sounds right. 6
Okay.
to 8. Yeah.
Well, it started small, and I think it grew. And then I think once we got past 10, I was just like, whatever. Like, but yeah, because I think that's how like we started. I think that's how South Carolina started opening things back up. It was weird because like, I'm not gonna say our government sucks, but the communication was weird. And then it was like, well, you could do this or you should do this. And then it was like, well, is this is this legally binding? Is this just a recommendation? Like, am I gonna get in trouble if I don't follow these
Mhm.
rules? Type of stuff. And then it was also like, I didn't know where all of our members stood with how they felt about things either. And it was like, okay, do y'all want to come back? Do you not want to
Yeah.
come back? Like, are you afraid for your health? And like, do you want to be at the gym? So I think we started with like 5-person classes, and then I think it became pretty apparent that people wanted to come back to the gym. And then I think we went to 6 to 8, somewhere in that area. I think we went to 8. Um, and I
Well,
don't remember when we got rid of that though.
I think that time highlighted like how fast. I think what you perceived people like wanting to come back and wanting to get re-engaged is they missed the community.
Yeah.
They got a taste of like a year in business. They got a taste of what CFC's community was. It was pulled from them in a lot of ways, and I get why.
Yeah.
I get why. And then they were like, immediately when you did open up, like it was a fight for spots.
Yeah. I remember that. I
100%.
remember some people complaining. They're like, I never get a spot. And I was like, well, like, can you come to another time? Because like it wasn't like we were still doing classes. It was just wasn't their time. Um, yeah. And then I think some people wanted like different things. But that's where I was trying to find like, well, are we allowed to have more people? Because
Sure.
people clearly wanted to come in. And that was kind of the struggle. But yeah, I do think the community part, and then I think not only CrossFit Taylors, but I think CrossFit community in general felt it, because that year for Mayhem, I think we were the first gym to run a competition again, or one of the first gyms.
Seriously.
Yeah, because I think people were afraid to do big events, like big gym events.
Okay.
And they were like, oh, all these people together, like people are gonna get sick or whatever. But we did it in November, right? And I think some things had started to open, but I was like, whatever, let's put it out there, let's see what happens. And we'll make some rules. Like we had the extra cleaning supplies and things like that, which we implemented later. And people we didn't even put all that out. I don't think. I'd have to go back and look, but I was just kind of like, you know what, let's plan as if we're going to do a competition, because we had done one the year before, and like I want to do it every year, and things were starting to open back up. So we were like, we don't know what November is going to look like. And I remember putting out, that was the year we did co-ed, and it was only scaled in RX.
Yeah.
I don't think we had intermediate, because it was year 2 and intermediate wasn't really a thing back then as much.
So either you were really fit or not.
Well, I think people just had more of a general like, oh, I think I kind of want to be in this division, or I want to be in that division.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't remember if we launched with like, okay, this is what we're going to cap it at, or if we sold out in 24 hours, that competition.
Holy crap. I didn't know that.
Because it went so fast. But I think because the CrossFit community wanted to do something, and there wasn't a lot out there. And so it was like, here's an opportunity. And I remember like opening signups and like just receiving text message of team sign up, team sign up, team sign up, team sign up, and just sitting there. And I think we had gone to the lake for the weekend or something with my family, and just my phone was blowing up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to look at this to see, because I didn't want it to get out of hand. Like I knew we had to do workouts, and there had to be like a timeline and a schedule to this whole thing. And it was just like, doof, 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 doof. And in my head, I'm like, money. And then, but then I'm also like, I still have to like run this thing, and it's going to make sense. So I think at some point within the first 12 hours, I had to we had to open with it, or I had to go in and be like, okay, I need to put a cap on these things. And I remember putting on Instagram or Facebook and Instagram at the time of like 10 spots left, 8 spots left. Like, and it just like throughout the next couple hours, it just dropped and dropped and dropped.
Dang.
And I think people were looking and following, and they were like, oh shit, I got to find a partner. And yeah, that was the fastest we've ever sold, and probably the only comp we've ever sold out completely. And we probably could have had more teams, but it also was, what's running an event with a bunch of people going to be like? I still need to be able to run this event. And I don't even think I had things like, I might have programmed by then. I can't really remember, to be honest. Sometimes we launch it and then I start programming and trying to figure out what we want to do. Sometimes I have some ideas. But then it's also like, depending on how many teams, okay, and especially in our old space, like how many teams can we run at a time? And well, how long do we want the workouts to be? Okay, how long is that going to take? So you have to start really thinking about like, how many teams can we realistically run through this competition in a day? And people not get mad that they're there all day. And so I think we just set a limit. We're like, all right, if we hit this, like that, we're going to call it there. And then maybe I thought we could open up more spots later if it made sense. And I don't think it ended up making sense. But yeah, I think in general, COVID, not only did our community want to do something,
Mhm.
but CrossFit community wanted to do
Yeah.
something. And then I think after we did our comp and we had some masks, like it wasn't mandated, it's like you could wear a mask. We had some extra wipe down things with rags and spray bottles. And then I think after we did that, I think some other gyms were like, okay, like we can also like this is okay. Like we were kind of, which I feel like CrossFit is really good at doing. Be like, we're gonna test the waters and see what happens. Like let's just kind of like we'll dip our toe in and like see
Yeah.
what people think, and then if it goes well, you know, some other people follow along. And it opened things. I think that was kind of the initial launch of like getting back into like, okay, what was CrossFit before COVID, and let's get back there,
Mhm.
right? Like someone's got to start doing it and like getting us back in those vibes. Which I think then also like the group classes started getting bigger again and things like that. It's like, okay, if we're gonna run a comp, then why are we having a schedule like six people in a class, right? We're about to have like 100 people in this gym at some point. And so yeah, I think it was just kind of like this, let's kind of push things to kind of get them back where they could be or should be. So yeah, there was the what you call it?
The return.
The return. The return. All right.
The launch.
Yep.
Era 1.
Okay.
COVID. Era 2. A brief era.
Yeah.
The return is era 3.
So we're 2 years in and we're already through 3 years.
Listen, man.
All right, I like it. Hey,
I love history.
we're blowing through some airs.
But I think the return kind of is the return and some, because you mentioned it. That's when I feel like you started to really blow up. That's when the gym, I think, really started to grow, is the momentum that you found maybe when folks realized how important a place like this was. And then you have a great comp at Mayhem, your second one. Now your name's out there now. You're known than more than just the little guy in Taylor's.
Yeah.
Now you're producing athletes. You're running a really well-run event. And I think that's kind of when I realized members started to come and come and come, and we were growing.
Yeah.
And then we got a spot where we were too big, almost.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like with the return too, you made me think about it with what you said was, I think people started realizing how important health should be.
Yeah.
And we were one of the locations in Taylor's that there's not many gyms in Taylor's, right? You either have to go to Greer or Greenville. And so I do think COVID scared some people into, oh shit, maybe I need to do something about this.
Sure.
Maybe I need to be like, we don't know how long COVID's going to be a thing and it's killing all these old people or these out of shape people or whatever. And like, I don't want to be next.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to find this gym, and we were in Taylor's. And I think that was a big part of the growth and the return too. So
100%.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
I think you're right. Well, and then we got to the point where like going to 4:30, 5:30, you would just start switching times up, right? You went to like 4 classes. I feel like 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, that was. I'm trying to think what year that was, because it definitely wasn't. Man, what are we? We're in year 7. We've been here for, this is year 2 in this building, right? So we were over there for 5 years, right? We changed the schedule year 4, maybe. Was it year 4? Were y'all here when we changed the schedule? Okay.
I think it helped space
Yeah.
people out a little bit, but we were still running into like, I mean, there's no room.
Yeah. Do you remember when before we changed the Saturday schedule, before we added the 2 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. classes, do you remember when like we would have like 30 to 40 people on a Saturday?
It was wild.
And it was like consistent. Like it wasn't like occasionally. It was like, because also CrossFit Greer, we would have people drop in because we had the later class. So they had a 9 a.m. and some of their members didn't want to go to the 9 a.m., but they knew we had an 11 and it was free. So they would just come to our Saturday classes. And not only were our members showing up, but we had some of their members showing up, and we had built some good relationships with some people. And I just remember like some Saturdays just being like, well, this is now teams of 4 instead of teams of 2.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you have to adjust sometimes, right? And it was cool just to see that many people want to show up that consistently. But it was, there had to be a month or two of 30 plus people classes on Saturdays. And I know the afternoons were starting to kind of feel that impact as well. So there definitely was in my mind, I see it as like a 3 to 6 month, and I can't really put an amount on it, but time period of like don't freak out yet because I don't know if this is going to stay. Like I need to make sure that this is something that's going to continue happening before we adjust for it to, like I didn't want to adjust too early and then members leave or something happen and then we go back and it's like, okay, we have this new schedule that doesn't make any sense, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like that's kind of one thing I've learned as a business owner is like, don't snap react.
Yeah.
Like we gotta wait. But then it comes to the point of like, okay, if you wait too long, then are you losing out on some members because they feel like it's too full and they feel like there's not space for them.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like this kind of weird balance game of, do we adjust? Do we not adjust? Do we, like what do we do here? And I feel like for me, it's about a 3 to 6 month kind of decision-making process before we kind of launch the schedule change, which I think was somewhere in year 4, because I think we had that schedule for at least a solid year of where we expanded it out before we moved over here.
Well, funny you mentioned that. That's era 4.
Yeah.
The move.
The move.
I mean, like 4:30, 5:30 class is 4 or 5 at the time was slammed.
Yeah.
You were, like we still got a great workout in, but you were on top of each other sometimes. So the move over here was awesome.
Yeah.
I remember, was it one weekend?
Yeah.
We got moved over.
Labor Day weekend. Yeah. We moved. We planned on being closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We were like, we'll take one weekend, we'll make it happen. And we did. Luckily, I was poking at some people so we could get some keys a little earlier, so we could get in here. Because I knew, so basically when we found out that this space was coming available was, so rewind a little bit, with the growth of the gym, right? Let's go back to growth, the return and growth. I was on a year-to-year lease over there. We were on a year-to-year lease. And I was constantly looking for new spaces because I could feel the growth. I could feel the walls just like wanting to burst, right? And it wasn't every class, but there were consistent enough classes that like, okay, we need to do something. As we all know, because we live in the Greenville area, it's real estate and the housing market got crazy, and which then made commercial real estate go crazy. And so I had to, as a business, think about, okay, what does moving look like? If we move closer to Greenville, do we lose members because it's too far away? If we move closer to Greer or like further, like any direction that we move, we may lose some people because it now adds 5-10 minutes to their commute. But then also we may gain some people. But then also, does that move us closer to a current CrossFit gym? And then that might hurt us because it's what are we doing going a mile or two away from a gym that's already there? If people aren't already going to that gym, we're probably not going to get new members, right? Because they would be getting them. So there was that, but then there's also like price of like, okay, I want to stay in the Taylor's area. And where we're at on Mill Street, there is commercial property, but then it's a lot of residential outside of Wade Hampton.
Yep.
And it's like Wade Hampton is like the main commercial spot. Well, if you think of Wade Hampton Boulevard, like it is popular, and it is like, so the pricing for something on Wade Hampton was stupid, ridiculous. I was like,
I remember you searching. Yeah.
Like it was like our current members and what they're paying. If I move here and we have these expenses, it's not going to last very long. Yeah. And so there was, I would say at least, and maybe from the time I opened the gym, I was constantly looking here and there because we were on a year to year, and it was like, okay, maybe there is something better. Because our old space was cool. I loved it, but it didn't have the high ceilings, and it didn't allow us to do some of the things that I would like to do. And we had poles down the middle of the room, and not the best bathrooms. So it was like we were
way to bury the lead on that one.
I was like popular, like contrary to popular belief. I don't know if people think this or not, but like I was constantly looking at ways to upgrade the business, move us somewhere else. But still like make sure I was putting off vibes of like, this place is great. Like I didn't want people to think that I thought it was shit. Like, and not that I don't think it was shit, but like, I just wanted like, oh, the bathroom sucks. It's like, all right, well, you're only here for an hour and you can pee. Like, You know, like it's okay. Like we're not
It's
spending
character, it's
that much time.
flavor,
Yeah,
yeah.
we would always try to build it up, right? But I was constantly looking for places, and then once we hit that growth, it was like, okay, now I'm really looking for places.
Yeah.
But I have to make sure it makes sense because I don't want to like put my business under by moving to some place that causes me to have way more expensive than revenue, and then either jack the price up for members, who's going to piss them off probably because yeah, they like the community, but like I mean, it's some of those places we would have had to have like a $200+ a month membership
Holy
for us
cow.
to survive. And it's like to go from 140 at the time to 200+, like that's a jump.
Well,
like,
and you said survive, not thrive.
right.
So it's not
to-
even like growth mode.
yeah, that would have been like to pay for, because I think, I don't remember what we were at over there. Let's just say it was around $8 a square foot per year, right? That's how commercial real estate works for those listening that maybe. And we were at just under 4,000 square feet. Well, to find the same space, so you have 4,000 square foot space on Wade Hampton, was like between $14 to $20 a square foot.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh, $1 more per square foot or two. Like it was like over double. Because I mean, it's Wade Hampton, right? It is commercial. Like you were driving down that road, there are commercial businesses everywhere, and they obviously either whether it's land or a building, like they want to get paid for that, which is why you see like chain restaurants and
Sure.
big brand things and whatnot. You don't see a lot of mom and pop stuff off of Wade Hampton Boulevard, or small businesses because of the pricing of it. And then also with us being a gym, we can't just move into any spot. Like we don't want to have neighbors that get mad and then we end up getting kicked out or something because we're too loud, right? So it's like this weird, when you're looking at a CrossFit gym or space, like you have to have the right building, the right, like, and then there's zoning laws of like what kind of businesses can be in certain areas and things like that you have to look at. So anyway, there's this big struggle. And I was constantly looking, and then I had reached out to Paul like probably year 2 of business, like COVID or pre-COVID, of like, hey, is anything available or coming available? No, everyone's in like a 4 or 5 year lease or whatever, like a long term. Like it was 3+ years at the time that I had originally reached out to him, and so like that immediately was just like, that's not going to happen. Okay, let's just scratch that and like look. Well, then he remembered that I had asked, and I had always talked with him a little bit, and kind of kept that relationship because Paul runs the baseball place, or what used to be the baseball place, and his daughter went to Wade Hampton, which I went to Wade Hampton, and
We all have our flaws.
for their Spirit Week.
Oh, here we go.
Which when I was in high school, I don't know about you, Colin, but Wade Hampton used to win. It used to be Wade Hampton versus Eastside. I think it just went so bad they got rid of that rival. But anyway, let's not get into that. Let's not get into
Can't say anything.
that. She came over and asked for a donation for their Spirit Week towards their, and so I was like, all right, yeah, like you came in person and asked me for money from a business, like I'll write a $200 check or whatever. And so we kind of kept that relationship as well every year. And then there were just different things that I would talk to Paul about, because sometimes he would maybe want to come work out, or I would just chat with him. He's just another business owner down here.
I feel like you guys like flirted with each other, like in terms of like, will they, won't they, for this building for years.
Yeah, well, and also I was constantly kind of talking to them about I always wanted to help train the kids.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't know if like I could go in there and train them,
Sure.
or if we could set something up. So there was constantly that conversation as well.
CrossFit Kids, like that vision goes back to like 22, 23.
From the time we opened, I always wanted to help, because like, so good conversation. I feel like I didn't get the training I needed when I was in like late middle school, early high school, towards like being good at sports. Especially once I joined, baseball and basketball and stuff in high school. And definitely looking back now, I feel like it got handed off to just somebody that was a coach, and they were just like, okay, someone needs to get these kids to train, but they didn't really have a background in training or really know what they were doing. They were just like, oh, like do some curls, do some of this, do some of that. And we did have one good trainer who's still a trainer in this area. He mainly worked with the football team, or like the higher level athletes that were maybe wanting to go to college. Like he would actually like almost personal train like the higher up level, right? But it was like the rest of our teams, the rest of our athletes didn't really get any kind of like training. It was just like specific, like good training, I should say. So when I opened the CrossFit gym, I was like, man, it would have been nice to like when I started doing CrossFit, I realized, because I started in college. which wasn't too late after I got done playing high school. I was like, man, if I had this training when I was in high school, like I would have been a way better athlete.
Yeah.
Right. I would have been stronger. I would have been faster. I would have been more explosive and like all these things. And I kind of always had that thought. So when I opened the gym, I was always like, man, it would be really cool to work with kids in middle school, high school to help them make sure that they're training well, especially if they want to be a college athlete or have a chance to be a college athlete. So that was always in the back of my head. So when we opened up across from a baseball place, I was like, well, I could help, if they would allow me to. And so that was always a thing. And then it got to the point of like, okay, well, if we're going to run a CrossFit Kids, like, where do we do that at?
Mhm.
Because so this is another conversation I have with people all the time. We'll get back to kind of the original thing, but I think one of the things that a CrossFit gym can or should try to do is try to fill the schedule the best they can to make sure that they're making money outside of just your regular classes, right? So we've introduced kids class and ageless athletes and things like that, but it also comes down to like the time. Like I've always wanted to be a CrossFit gym first. And so like, it's like people are like, you should do yoga. And it's like, okay, well, am I going to do yoga at the same time I do a CrossFit class?
Yeah.
Probably not. But is anyone going to come to a 2 p.m. yoga class? Probably not. Like, you can't just do yoga unless you have a big enough space or like a separate space that's part of your building that's quieter or whatever. Like there are times that people need, like they get off work, they need to come in, or it's before work, they need to come in. And we already have CrossFit classes during those times. So it was like, okay, we can't just add these things because it's going to take away from our current business. Right. So we have to be smart about that, which is why the kids class, we didn't really start till we got over here because we felt like we had more space and we could simultaneously run a kids class and an adult class because of the amount of space we had for the times that were kind of needed. Like we did a little research and things like that. So anyway, that's why the kids class kind of started when we got over here. Was like, it was this thing we always wanted to do, but we just couldn't do it in our old space and make it make sense. So it was like, okay, we gotta wait until, because I also like, yeah, we do a 3:30 and a 5:30, but kids get out of school at like 3:15 or like I don't know what it is now, 2:45 to 3:15. 3:30 is just tight for a lot of people. So there are some that come to 3:30, but majority of our kids come to the 5:30, right? And if we would have done that over there, we already didn't have space for adults, better yet, kids and adults. Like it just wasn't going to happen. So anyway, that's why that. So anyway, back to your original question. Yeah, moving. Paul actually reached out to me. It was like, hey, this space is coming open. Are you still interested? And I had just been looking and looking and looking. And I was like, yes. I don't have to go far. It's 2,000 more square feet. I didn't even care about the price at the time, but I think he had kind of mentioned it. And it was, so I think we signed our first year here at $750 a square foot.
Oh, dang.
So we actually went down in price per square foot, but we went up in total rent because we gained 2,000 more square feet. So I knew I had to cover, I think it was about $1,000 difference by the time we moved per month. But if we had more space, I felt like we could do that. And it wasn't the biggest, like it wasn't like oh God number. It was like, okay, I just need to like lock in some things and try to like make sure we can do that and make it happen. And so Taylor and I came over here one day and it was still the air conditioning place.
Yeah.
So this was all warehouse. These were offices, but like I just had a vision like in my head. Like I had to just be like, okay. And I've always been good at visualizing things, and Taylor hates me because of it. Not hates me, but I can see something and then I can try to draw it to show her what I'm seeing, and then she still doesn't see it. She's one of those people like has to see it. But I'm like,
she's the treasurer. She's dollars and cents. I mean, you're the COO.
She's not the VP anymore.
You're vision guy. She's dollars and cents.
But anyway, I walked in, there's just shelves everywhere and stuff. But like in my head, I'm like, okay, if all this is gone, we can build a pretty solid gym in this space. And I think that day I was like, yeah, like where do I sign, Elite? Like where do I sign? I literally like, I think we had like a 1 hour conversation between me and her of like, okay, like we've been needing to do this. We've been feeling the growth. We've been looking for a bigger space. It gives us the ceiling heights. Like, yeah, it's dirty, but we can clean it. And like, like it's just like, it'll be what it's going to be. Like, I think it was one of those things that was like, if we don't pull the trigger on this, I don't know what's going to happen. And so I just felt like in my gut, I was like, this is it. This is the opportunity. And I was like, yeah, I'll sign this lease. And so like that day, which was like April or May of 2024.
That's right. Yeah.
because we moved over in 2024.
Yeah.
We signed the lease, and then it was like, okay, now I have to plan. Like, what is this move going to look like? When are we going to do it? When is our lease up here in our old space? And luckily, I was able to reach out to the mill. I think that's what I did first. So within that 24 hours, I reached out and I was like, hey, we found a new place. Like, we've been needing to move, which I think I had told them that because I had looked at a couple other spaces in the mill too to see if I could move within the mill.
Mhm.
So I think they knew we were looking at some stuff, and luckily they were like, yeah, we'll go month to month with you until you move, and they worked with us really well, which was
Good.
awesome. And you know, we had been there for 5 years and we weren't ever a hard tenant. Like, I feel like we were probably one of the easiest tenants
Yeah.
out of
I agree with
out of
that.
the things that happen around here. And so they were really cool to work with us. So then between them, us figuring out, okay, when do we want to stop paying rent? And then over here, we had to pay a deposit and all that. But then also, can I get the keys a little early? So we had 1 week before we actually moved in here, which a couple of the guys came in and helped out. Some other members came in on their time.
Listen, shout them out. Rich Kinky.
Oh, I mean,
Good night.
guys, if y'all need a really good person in your life that can just do a lot of things, Rich Kinky is that guy. He was definitely number one. But there was a handful of other people that came in, and you know, we pressure washed the floor. We started decobwebbing and wiping down things, the walls, all the walls, because we knew we wanted to paint. We started painting, and we had some other members help out too within that week. Because as it got closer, obviously we sent out an email that was like, "Hey, here's what's going down. Here's what we're going to be doing. We're going over here. We have the keys. If anyone can put any time in ahead of time, that would be great, because, you know, we're going to try to make this move happen Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and whatever." And so we got a lot done, and Rich was behind a lot of that. With just things of like, and we were still running classes over there. Like, it was like, hey, we're going to stick to our regular schedule. And then I was burning, him, Robbie was here a good bit. Like, we were burning the midnight candle, like, just like, we're going to come in and we're going to do as much as we can, eat dinner here. My dad came and helped. We did some electrical stuff and whatnot. And we just tried to get it ready for the move the best we could, because they got all their stuff out, but like, the space was dirty.
It was a shell, a true shell.
Yeah, it was a true shell, and it was a dirty shell that needed, before we brought in a bunch of equipment, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, we can't have a bunch of dirt and stuff, especially putting down a rubber floor and like taping it. Like, all this needs to be clean.
Don't mention that trauma.
Yeah.
I think Tommy is officially retired from all floor laying.
Oh man, I mean, and I do feel bad, but I am so thankful for our members, both before the move and during, and you know, it is probably, we get a lot of compliments actually on our floor from other people when they come visit from other gyms, or like, you know, from out of town, because there's not a lot of gyms that are fully rubber floored, especially with Rogue's Rigapool stuff. Like, it's sometimes it's like the tile mats or whatever, and those have, but like, it's a pain in the ass. I'm not going to say it's not. Like, it is a pain in the ass. And we originally thought we taped it down well. Back to COVID, I was able to use some grants to finally get a floor scrubbing machine. And once I got that, I was super excited to help speed up cleaning. Well, didn't realize that putting the water in it made it heavy, and it was causing the rubber to roll and bubble up.
Oh yeah.
And so that was floor taping number one. Was we have some really good friends, and I convinced them with pizza and beer to help me pull up the floor and retape the entire gym so that I could use my new scrubbing machine.
Retape this floor so I can play on that.
And that was a 2-day process, which I think was, you know, floor taping number one. And then floor taping number two was when the floors cracked. It was only half the gym, but over there in the mill, the floors cracked and got all gravelly under your feet. I don't know if you remember some of those lifting
by your desk.
By the desk.
On that far side.
Yeah. Like, you would do a split jerk and you'd land in like gravel under the rubber, and like some dust would come up. So Rich and I were like, well, we need to fill this, and we did that, and then it cracked again. So I was like, all right, I'm going to order more rubber, and we're going to put a double layer of rubber down. So we had to pull all that rubber back, put down a double layer of rubber. So that was tape and tape, right? And that was number two. And so the people were like, I'm not doing it anymore.
It was a real Eras tour.
How many times? It's taking down memory lane. Yeah, how many times have we done the floor? And so then floor number 3 was moving all of it over here. Which, boy, was that a headache. Our members are the best in the world. I mean, not only did we set up, okay, at this time this morning, like show up to your class time, help move some things. Other than 5:30 a.m., we just started at 9. We had borrowed a truck and a trailer, and then we borrowed 13 Stripes van that they use for moving kegs and stuff. And by 10 a.m., we had moved all the equipment.
It's wild.
In 1 hour, we had enough people for 2 teams, a loading and an unloading team, and 2 drivers. And obviously, we all do CrossFit, and it was just like, take something up, put it in a truck or a trailer. Once it got heavy enough, drive it, unload it. So I was running across the street back and forth to be like, okay, be careful with this. Don't break this. This needs to be loaded this way. Come over here. Okay, because I knew the floor needed to go down, and people were just starting to unload things. I was like, no, we got to like put it on the walls, like get it. And I had pre-measured a lot of stuff of like where I wanted things to go, or flooring to at least go. So I was trying to make sure that we were keeping that space open, because I knew the floor would be the last thing to come up and the first thing to go down. Sure. And I didn't want to have to like redo a bunch of like moving things. But when we got to the floor that afternoon, we didn't realize how hard it was going to be to get the tape off of it.
Yeah.
So we had pulled some rolls of rubber off, brought it over, and then realized how dirty it was, and that when we were putting tape down, it wasn't sticking because of the layers of the old tape. And it was like, well, we don't want to, I didn't want to have to retape the floor like we did in the old place. Like, okay, we just rushed and did it, and then a year down the road, kick ourselves in the ass and have to do it again. So I was like, all right, let's take the time. It was one of those, I hated it. And it was just like, we have to freeze this and like figure out how to get all the old tape off to do this right. And that took the amount of people that were just picking with razor blades in their fingernails. And I mean, it's one of those things I look back on and we're so blessed. And it was all like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it with the amount of people that like, they could have gone home. They could have not even shown up. They could have like given 10 minutes and left. But it's just like, they're like, no, I'm going to be here until I get like they were willing to give their time and help us get the move done. And that meant picking at tape off a floor, which is the most unfun thing you could ever do. I promise I don't ever. And then it got to the point where I was like, is that good enough? Like, I started being like, okay, it's close. And people were like, no, let's get more of it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm glad we did, and then so anyway, that was part of it. But then I think the other cool part was, I think on Saturday, I remember coming in here, and at some point in the afternoon, at least 40 people or more just in here, just ready to rock. Like, we had gotten the floor down to a certain point. The barbells were in this other office getting cleaned, and like, because I was like, well, like, we have a lot of volunteers and these barbells haven't been cleaned in a while, along with some of this other equipment. So like, if we're gonna move and do it, we might as well like clean everything while we're doing it. And I just remember, like, I don't think I did much as far as like physical labor, but it was like controlling, it was managing. It was literally managing groups of people doing things. And I also remember the rig, and there was like 10 to 14 guys. There had to be at least 8 drills and ratchet. Like, there was so many tools, and that rig went up so fast. Like, it took a while to get it square and started. And then once we did, it was just like, like, it just went. And that was really cool. And again, there was other projects going on. We were trying to put the water fountain in. There was just different people working on different things. And it kind of, hey, Cameron, what do you want to do? Hey, Cameron, hey, Cameron, which like at the time was like, I felt like I was spinning in circles, but it was cool to look back, or like, I think I did get a second to step back and just like watch what was going on and realize like, these people are awesome. Yeah. And they care. And it's like, I couldn't imagine Taylor and myself, or like 6 of us doing it. Like, it took all 40 people to make it happen, and people that were willing to just put like whatever it was. Like, people like Lynn learned how to paint that day. Like, I don't know if she had ever painted anything. I could be wrong. I'm sorry, Lynn, if I am. But like, she was willing to just grab a paintbrush and like a thing and just I'll go paint that office. people were like ripping open Echo Bike boxes and putting Echo Bikes together, which they had never done. Like, I think one of the coolest things, I think Sabrina had been a member for a month, maybe. She literally signed up and I was like, hey, by the way, we're moving. It's over there, but like we're moving.
Yeah.
She's like, cool. She was, her and her husband were here on moving day helping.
Wow.
And she was like, this is so awesome. Like, I love community. Like, we moved from a good community and like, this is like, and she was just like, and she pulled me aside and like told me and was like, you know, like, this is what this is all about. Like, isn't that cool? And like to hear that from someone who had only been here for a couple weeks, like just like blew me away. And I was like, this is freaking awesome. And her husband was like painting one of the bathrooms. I've never seen him again. Literally, I met him that day. He came in and was like, how can I help? And started painting one of the bathrooms. And I've never seen him again. And I was like, this is freaking awesome. Like, you know, and I could go on forever and this podcast could be hours long, but you know, long story short, we ended on Sunday. Like, we got so much done on Saturday that I think I told people like, we don't really need you on Sunday because it's down to me organizing how I want the gym to be. Like, all the hard stuff's done. Like, we basically had to finish some flooring, which a handful of people were willing to help out with. And the rest of it was just put things where we think they needed to go. And then we took Monday off completely. We actually got like part of our holiday to rest. And I think Tay and I may have came up here to do a couple things, but she convinced me I should rest as well. And we were ready to rock and roll with class again on Tuesday. And we opened up back with our regular schedule, like as if nothing had happened.
I was here at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. And that was the move.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the most recent era, the one we're in right now. And then I think we're done. Well, for the moment.
Okay.
So this is era. We have the launch. Okay. We have COVID. The return and growth.
Yep.
Okay. Era 4 was the new gym.
The move.
Era 5 is it's clear. This is the most potential.
I already know what's coming. I already know what's coming.
This could be the defining era.
Yeah.
Can
I guess it?
This is the 1989 Taylor Swift album of pinnacle. You can guess.
The deck.
Yes, Ronnie. The wooden deck.
The deck. This is the deck era.
You talk about a place where people can gather, connect, relax at the gym, but not in the gym.
Yeah.
And by the way, get a great tan.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind it being called that because it, you know, when we moved over here, I think I talked about this a little bit with Ronnie I don't know. At some point we have talked on this podcast about like, I had a vision of like things that I would like.
Yeah.
Right. And we put that out to the members of like, hey, like here are things we would like to do. Right. We even did a fundraiser when we moved. We pulled out another loan. Like there was a lot of stuff that we did to try to raise money to make some things happen.
Yes.
And was the fundraiser good? Yes. Did we have other expenses we didn't know that we were going to have? Yes. And did that money go towards the gym? Yes. Like, just so we're clear, like I haven't paid myself more money or taken more money from this gym in like over 3 years. Like, and when I first started, I kind of paid myself a little more. Then like everything that we've done has been to try to make this place better. And so when we did that fundraiser, that money went into the gym in some way, shape, or form to make sure that classes would flow and we would, you know, it would look nice and things like that. The shower was one of the things we wanted to do. Well, then we started looking at it, and even the shower we just built, and the deck was something we wanted to do. Well, I started getting quotes, and it was like, you know, shower was $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Then we looked at bathrooms, and I was like, okay, is that worth it? And that was like $40,000. And then like a deck was expensive, and then it was like, well, we just spent all this money to move. I already had this other loan. Like we got to pay some of that stuff off, and so like there was this like, okay, here are the things we would like to do, but you know, again, there's Cameron that's happy, excited, and has vision. And then there's business Cameron who's like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, again, just like we didn't want to buy or go get a space on Wayhampton because it would put our business under, like putting too much money into these things to make it fun and cool doesn't necessarily mean 50 more members are going to walk in tomorrow. We're going to be able to pay all this off. Right. And so we had to be really smart and kind of tactful of like, okay, where do we put the money? What does it go into? And then like, how do we plan for these things to happen down the road? And so I'm perfectly fine with this being called the deck era because we did still want to do it and we still had it on like the next big expenses are these things. And when we get to a spot where we can do that, we're going to do it. And so that is what last month, 2 months ago, I think it's been a month, last month, was we finally got to a point where, hey, we can financially figure this out and put the shower in that we've been saying we were going to put in and build this deck and this ramp that we've been saying we were going to do. And I think it's a big thing. And I even had the conversation with Taylor of like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? More on her end of like, do we need to do that? And I'm like, yeah, we need to follow up on our word. Like we've been telling people we're going to do it. And I do think it is beneficial in more ways than just saying we're going to do it. Like I do think it's going to bring a lot of value and future value. And so I'm going to pull the trigger and we're going to do it. And, hopefully it comes out well. And I would like to say that I think it did come out well and it is being used. And so is the shower and things like that. Like, and I do think the shower was more expensive than the deck. Unfortunately, it's way smaller by a long shot. But that's just how it goes sometimes. But we get a lot of potential members that ask, like, hey, I'm looking at this time pre-work. Do y'all have a shower? We used to have to say no. It's like, now we can say yes. Yeah, we do have a shower. Cool. That shouldn't be a problem on your schedule. You can come and work out and shower, and hopefully that will help us grow. But then I also do think having an outdoor space for people to hang out starts to bring back some of that original community vibe that was like really cool back in the beginning, and like what we had of before growth phase or in growth phase before it got too busy, we had to move. I think for a while it just felt so cramped and people didn't want to hang out because the gym felt so busy, and it was just like, okay, let's go somewhere else. Well, it's like now we're back to that, like, hey, it's cool to hang out at the gym again, and like we have a spot to do it. And we had talked about like in the old space maybe you could hang out outside on the sidewalk or whatever, and we didn't have that over here, right? So I do think both of those help now and in the future with who we are as a gym. And I do have other visions, and hopefully we have other eras of other things to come. Because I do think that's one of the biggest things is, and it's in business, but also here, like, I don't ever want to settle. Like if we have a way to grow or make something better, I want to try to make that happen. As long as it financially makes sense, and isn't going to hurt my personal life and family, but also the business account as well. Because that is what runs all this. And, so this, as exciting, as cool as, I mean, we get people, you should do this, you should do this, you should buy this would be cool. And it's like, I agree, but there's numbers behind these things as well, right? Like, I mean, God, the amount of times I've heard we should get an air runner. Hey, go look up how much an air runner costs and then tell me if you think that's a valuable thing that we should actually have in this gym. And when it comes to equipment, I've told people this a lot too. I don't necessarily want to buy a lot of, like, there are some things that we have one or two of, but there's some things that's like, if we can't get 5+ of them, I don't think it's going to be a big benefit because like I can't put it in class.
You can't program.
I can't program with it. Right. Like I don't need and how much space is it going to take up? Like an air runner takes up space. Like unless we put it in an office for people to use randomly, like it's, where else are we going to put it out there?
Well,
and
if you wanted to sell all the wall balls, if you wanted to sell all the air bikes, the echo bikes, I would be happy. I would. Yeah.
We could just put some air runners in.
Yeah. Remove all this.
We just built a nice deck with a ramp for better running. And I just heard, talk to the building owner, Paul, they're going to bring in more gravel. I didn't realize. I was like, man, I feel like it wasn't that like puddly last year, right? And he was telling me yesterday when he picked up the written check, they're gonna, in the next week or two, he'll text me and let me know so we don't park back there, but they're gonna bring in more gravel. We lost a lot during the hurricane. When it flooded, it all washed out. And I was like, that's why. Because I was like, man, I really don't think that we couldn't, because it seems like every time we program running, it like rains. And there's like a massive mud puddle out there and it's like, okay, we can't use it. And it's like, why was this not like this last year? And now it makes sense. So hopefully when they bring in more gravel, we can continue to use the deck and we won't have all those puddles protocols out there. So I'm excited about that because that means we should not need an air runner. We can start using our ramp a lot more for running around the gym, like we planned on. So, but I'm also excited about it for competitions and things that are upcoming. I think that's going to be a huge hit for spectators and just that place for people to kind of hang out and chill and that vibe as well. So, yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, it was a good era tour. And
Hey, to Era 6.
yeah, I mean, but that's also like the history of the gym, really, of you know, why decisions were made, what we did, and I don't know if we've ever talked about that, honestly. So I know I've been talking a lot. As a member, how did those things sound? No. Yeah, it's been good, and
I think it's important not to forget, you know, what got you here,
yeah,
right? And I think what's cool is like you invested in the community, and the community invested back into you, and you invest back in the community. It's a beautiful like cyclical cycle, a cyclical cycle.
yeah,
It's a cycle that keeps on like keeping this going, because yeah, we put a lot of time into this, but then to see that you and Tay put time back into us by keeping all this going, I love it. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah. It's definitely the goal. Like,
Mhm.
is it's about y'all. Like I don't know any CrossFit gym owners that started running a gym because they thought they were going to get rich. And I think that's a saying between almost any gym owner of like, it wasn't like a quick fix. Like, I mean, there might be some people that have it as like a hobby or a secondary job and it's like a cool thing, but it's like, if you are a sole owner of a business and like, that's what you get your livelihood on, it's not to be like live in the nicest house and make the most money. It's because we care about people and we want them to, have a place that they want to come to and feel comfortable and get better and all that. But also like, I've always treated the gym as like my own personal home gym of like, I want it to be nice and look good and like, you know, be a place that when people show up, it's like, oh, this is how I feel about this. Like, it's a reflection of me. Like, I feel like it's kind of always been that way of like, if it was dirty and messy, which I mean, to each gym their own, like they can be run how they want. But like for me, it's like, it's funny because Taylor would be like, this is not how you live your life. But the gym's organized. It looks good. It's clean. You know, like we have a lot of things for it makes sense. Like the things we have make sense. Like they're in places that are usable and like, you know, the programs and the things that we do, like we try to make sure that it all makes sense before we just put it out there. And so I do think that like that has been the goal, and I hope and I'm glad it seems like that cycle of like, I'm not just going to stop growing the gym and be like, now I can just put all this money in my pocket. Because it's not about that. It's about making a place that like has thrived. And it's awesome to see kids out there like doing a kids class and like having other people come in and like, you know, and it's not just a pride thing there either. Like, it's just, I've always been like, the more people we can impact, the better. Like that is the goal of this gym, is how do we get more people in here and how do we help them? And if we can continue to do that by making it nicer, bigger, adding things, whatever, that's the goal. And then as that happens, yeah, we make more money and then we get to do more things. And it's just like this back and forth of like, okay, we're helping more people. They're paying for it. Now we get to help more people. Now they're paying for it. Now we get to help more people. And it's like, that's how we run the business.
I love it, brother.
So that's the goal. And hopefully it always stays that way. And you know, there's Amy wants to help us build an empire. So hey, if we can help more people, they make more money, we help more people. Who knows where that will go, you know? But yeah, I think that's kind of the CrossFit Taylor's way and the CrossFit Taylor's vibe of how and why we do things. So
one step at a time, huh?
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah,
as some might say. Sweet. Well, thank you and I have photos of like all these as well. I don't know what I'm ever gonna do with them because I just look back in my phone and I'm like, it's kind of cool, but I don't know if I'll maybe on our 10-year I'll put a slideshow together, like where we started and kind of, because it is interesting to look even here. Like we haven't been in here almost 2 years, but if I showed you pictures of where we started, of where like certain things were, like the other day I was talking to somebody, you know, the back rig. we just put in over Christmas.
Oh yeah.
But that's such a staple now that in your head you're just like, oh, that was always there. But no, the boxes used to be
boxes used
over
to be
here.
there, yeah.
It has like a wall in between the bathrooms, right? So some things have moved around already to just make this space be better and feel better. So yeah, it's just to see the old photos of like where we started there, and then over those 5 years, how things changed. But then already this space is already changing with some additions. So it's like, okay, in the next 3 years, 5 years, whatever, how is this space going to change to help the gym continue to grow and be beneficial? So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I feel like we talked a lot about me and not about you, but it was a good conversation. But you've been a part of the cool thing is again, you're day one, member one. Like you've been a part of all of it. You've been here for all of it. You've seen all of it, and helped kind of like,
It's
go
been
through
fun,
it,
man.
so.
It's been so cool. I don't know, like I was talking to people on the deck last night actually about we didn't know each other 6 years ago.
No,
We
Yeah.
didn't. And now I consider a lot of people that I was talking to last night, like 2 nights ago, some of my best friends.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see how this community, has continued to grow, but it has also continued to deepen at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that is part of and Taylor and I the same way. Like all of our friends are from here. Like, I mean, we have family, and I grew up in this area, and I have older friends that like are still in the area.
Yeah.
But I spend more time with people that are here, coaching staff or members, as good close friends, and I feel like there are other friendships in this community that are the same way. Like there are a lot of people that hang out outside of the gym with each other, and they met here. And I think that's what this community is all about. You should be able to come in, get to know people, and feel comfortable enough. And again, we provide opportunities, which we talked about in the last podcast, of hanging out outside of the gym. It's not just working out together. It's going to hockey games, baseball games. We did bowling back in the day. We just recently went paintballing. Just, hey, let's go do something outside of here. Yes, it is about the activity, but it's more about just having a chance to talk with each other and get to know each other outside of the gym, to help just kind of deepen that community and that connection. So hopefully we keep doing those things as well. And I think the stronger the community is, the more successful this gym will be
100%.
as we continue to grow. So yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Nate, you got anything else that you want to say or ask?
It's
I
like,
don't know if you
shut up. It's
have
gone
anything
long enough.
for Colin, Sir Colin over here.
I mean, I think it was good. It was interesting just kind of hearing all the history of it. Like I said earlier, like we've been here a few years now. I think we just hit our 3-year mark actually.
That's
But to hear kind of the beginning of it and just how you were member number one, like you were it, like founding member on the shirt, right? Like it's cool to just hear stories from people that have been here forever.
awesome.
So I think it was a lot of fun. You completely destroyed our longest episode. So
Well, he got me talking about the
Yeah.
history.
Sorry about that.
Well, and I'll say too, I hope that like your experience, yours and Claire's experience here is the same as Colin's. Like, even though he's been here longer, I feel like, and hopefully it's true, like we haven't changed much of like who we are or how this gym runs. Like, yeah, it's grown, but I feel like the classes we were doing in year one, other than having more people, still feel like the same classes we're doing now. Like, I feel
I'm
like
still dancing to Big Booty in between you telling me how to snatch right. Like,
yeah.
it's the same thing.
So it is cool to have stories and
Yeah.
hear, but and I don't know how we would be able to compare them, but it's like hopefully you were listening to some of those stories and be like, yeah, that still happens. Like those things are still part of the CrossFit Taylors community,
Yeah.
and that's who we are, right? And
Mhm.
I've always tried to stay true to our roots of like, here's what we want, here's what I'm willing to hold my line, like draw a line in the sand. This is what I'm willing to hold, and I want to keep those things as our like main pillars of who we are as a gym, and this is what we're going to do. And sometimes it is that like pushing the limit and dipping our toe in the water first. I mean, Fittest Drinkers is probably one of those that, it's maybe it wasn't necessarily, I mean, people are excited about it, right? But it could have been one of those things that was frowned upon. I don't know. Like we've always had fun. We've always pushed some of those things. And, if we have an idea and we think it's valuable, we're going to try it.
And I know we tried to end this thing like 5 times, but like that's one thing that I appreciate is when we come to you with an idea, you're not about problems. You're about, okay, let's make it work. Fittest Drinkers was planned at the barbecue restaurant, Home Team. We were planning Fittest Drinkers and the workouts, just joking at Home Team. 2 months later, it was happening.
Yeah.
And then for the kids fundraiser, I came to you with an idea, and I was like, let's do it next year. You're like, no, let's do it now.
Yeah, we can make this work.
So
Yeah.
what I appreciate is, like, yeah, we believe in this community, but you're willing to reinvest in us with comps that come about over barbecue, with fundraisers that bring the community together and help out the community, kids, etc.
Yeah.
I love that.
Again, if someone brings me an idea, it's okay, is this a realistic idea or not? Is it beneficial?
Yeah.
Could it be beneficial? Then yeah, let's figure out how to do it, because if you want to do it, other people probably want to do
Sure.
it, you know? And I want to support our members because they support us. And
Mhm.
again, I always want to make sure, and is it going to make sense for everybody? Right. Or
Mhm.
at least the majority of our members. Like, that's the other piece of it too. Is we have to think about all parties involved, not just the one that wants to do it.
Sure.
So that's kind of part of it too. But yeah, and with your fundraiser idea, it's sometimes we have to start it so that we can make it better. And I think that's it was a good, you came with a good enough idea and details that it really wasn't that hard of a thing for me to see us be able to just take a step or two more, and it's there. And then now that we did it, we can start planning it
Dude.
way further ahead of time and make it way better,
Yeah.
way stronger, way more, you know. And that's the cool part to me, is like, we did it, so now let's make it better. So yeah. All right, Nate, close it down.
All right, that has been another episode, actually episode 10 of Off the Rails here in CrossFit Taylors in Taylor, South Carolina. Definitely hit that subscribe button. We are growing every single day and continuing to try and add some value to the stream or the podcast. Maybe we'll go live one of these days just for fun as well.
Woo.
So hit that subscribe button, go ahead, like and comment any questions that you might have or that you want to have answered either by a guest, myself, or Cameron here. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next week for Off the Rails.